is that through international response to COVID-19, I think we are witnessing two fundamental divides we have. The first divide, of course, is rich and poor. And I think response clearly shows that those who have means and those who are able to cope with it, despite social distancing, can enjoy better life because they don't even have to commute to their work. But still, they have means to live their comfortable life. But those who are poor and depend on daily income have to work despite health risk they are having. So those who don't have means are hit more severely, and some of them are not insured, health, and also unemployment. So that's the first divide we are witnessing now. And second divide we are witnessing is those who are digitally capable and those who are not. So digital divide, even tele-education exposes even some households in Korea. They don't have smart devices they can work on. So the problem is that how we help those who are underprivileged and marginalized to bridge this wealth divide and technology divide. So when we think of the solutions to cope with this crisis and also larger sustainability crisis, I think we have to take really good care of deepening inequality aspect.
Nowadays in the world, half of humanity does not have access to internet. And we know that in African countries, in some of these developing countries, least developed countries, almost 90% of the population does not have an access to internet. We have established that, unfortunately, the global growth in the percentage of households connected to internet is even slowing. And this was an idea, a problem that we established before the COVID-19 crisis. In the last report of the Broadband Commission to 2019, this was quite obvious that if the 4% from the households globally had access to internet in 2018, in 2019 it was even less. They became 53%. So how can we promote connectivity nowadays is the huge question. On the other side, there are other ways and means to promote learning and connectivity. I think we have to look also at the community radios. We have to look at other ways to promote. But if we look at the future, and if we think that the future of education is digital, or maybe mixed, and I hope we will have a possibility later in the debate to speak about that. I believe that we have to promote connectivity in many countries. Even the data for the G20 countries, I would say, are not that bright, because in many of the G20 countries also, because of the inequality of access to internet, the quality internet, speed of internet, and unpreparedness sometimes of teachers, it's a problem. So the complexity of this requires really a very elaborate and very flexible approach.
And so I think in Taiwan's cases, what we're seeing is that more and more people are realizing, and maybe thanks to our new curriculum last year, we don't teach media literacy anymore. We teach media competency. That is to say, students are no longer receiver of media. They are producer, narrator of media. They also need the same training all the journalists went through. because many primary schoolers maybe have more Instagram followers than I do. So obviously they are producers. In a similar vein, they are also co-producers through data. Starting last year, our entire 12-year basic education curriculum has been changed to be based on problem-based learning. That is to say, there is no individual-to-individual competitions anymore within a class, but rather the entire class or across the different schools work together to solve a social problem or an environmental problem. So we have people who are as young as 16 years old starting movements and initiatives to ban plastic straws to our national identity drink, the bubble tea. And then we co-created with them to be plastic-free when offering bubble tea. It's a real thing. It's happened last year. And also, each and every private sector can also contribute their pro-social and pro-environmental materials for the K-12 students to work with. Case in point, this very clothes that I'm wearing is made out of coffee bean waste and recycled plastic bottles. And these then form the basic education of fashion design based on this pro-environmental attitude of circular economy.
And I think we can turn this terrible crisis of COVID-19 into an opportunity, particularly for education. And we really have to figure out how to turn the big idea into global actions. You know that for Korea, I have witnessed a big change in the minds of teachers, in the minds of policymakers, that they think that it's time to make a big change. They think they have to explore new ways of teaching and to figure out new content of teaching. So this is, I think, a really big momentum for many countries. And I also think that we really need a partnership, a global partnership and partnership with private sectors, because educators alone cannot make a big change like this. So maybe we really have to open up to partner with diverse players. So I like Madame Bokova's ideas that we really have to bring in private companies, private players to work with educators. And also, I fully agree with the need for much stronger global collaboration to explore new learning models after COVID-19. So this is, I think, really a big moment of change. And I think this event organized by Yoshi재 Future Consensus Institute really provide a really good the opportunity for a dialogue among the policymakers and leaders. So maybe this is the starting point, and I think personally Korea should also play much leading role in exploring new models, because Korea has experienced a lot of issues and problems that were brought by the antiquated, old, outdated learning model. We have suffered a lot, and now that's why we really feel the need to rethink education. So maybe we can come up with much better model. Maybe high touch, high tech could be really diffused in the sides of Korean education, and maybe we can become a hub to share the experience of new learning models.
Yeah, I think the social sector should always lead both the public and the private sector. And by the social sector, I mean the cooperatives, the social entrepreneurs, the people who make civic technology organizations. In other words, people who voluntarily solve problems for the public good. And the reason is that these are longer lasting than any term of the president. The largest NGOs in Taiwan who enjoy very high legitimacy out of their work on, for example, flood recovery, earthquake recovery, and so on, they have defended the human rights, communication rights, and health rights of the Taiwanese people even before we had a presidential election. And so they enjoy very high popularity and lead the digital transformation. And the business, that's to say the private sector, and the government, that's to say the public sector, follow the norm as established by the social sector players. And this is what I mean by reverse procurement as well.
Now, I'm optimistic that we can do this using renewable energy, electrification of transport, and smart information technology. Because I think information technology can really change our lives for the better. Not only did it help to contain the epidemic, but now so many people are working from home at least some of the time. And I think that's an improvement because we don't have to all commute every day, long commute, if you can use information technology. So maybe you go to the office 2 times a week and work from home 3 times a week. And if the smart systems actually allow us more leisure time. Because, you know, Korean people work very, very long hours, the longest hours in the world of the high-income countries. But maybe the new technologies could allow for more leisure, allow the machines to do more, save some of the very long commutes and congestion, and make it easier for us to convert to renewable energy as well. So I really like the combination you emphasized of digital and renewable as a basic theme. I don't think it's going to end city life, but it can make it cleaner. It can reduce the dependence on automobiles. It can raise the ability to work in our own neighborhoods. It can make commerce more efficient with e-commerce. It can make governance more efficient, just as Korea government was able to use the information technology to alert people how to stay safe. I think I'm a believer in telemedicine. I'm a believer in online education. I'm a believer in the seminar that we're having together. We're having a very normal discussion halfway around the world. And this is made possible by all of this wonderful new technology. So I think that this is the right combination. Digital plus clean plus the great slogan of the United Nations that Ban Ki-moon championed and brought to life, leave no one behind. In other words, this should be fair. This should be inclusive. This should be for everybody.